Morning everybody, Patty Ann here. Hang on just a second please. Love my coffee. All right, anyway, today I'm going to revisit how to make something like this using any image you can find in Google or in the internet, on the internet. I did this one with Minnie because it's almost St. Patrick's Day, hence the shamrock. And I did put a little bling in her mouth. I don't know if you can tell that it's shiny. And a little something on her eyes just to make them have a little sheen, excuse me. But I'm going to show you how to do this. I did use all Cricut cardstock. If you need to buy some cardstock from Cricut, I'll have a link, an affiliate link down below. And again, if you use my affiliate links, it just helps me to be able to buy supplies and to keep this website and this channel, this group going. So this is just a sample I'm making for the fun of it. Okay, the other thing I did use was this glue. It says it's glitter and sequin glue. It's not the stuff that you guys have been talking about. I haven't gotten that yet. This works okay, but I'm anxious to try the stuff that you all talk about. This one's from Hobby Lobby. There's no glitter in it, but it does say glitter and sequin glue. All right, let's go up to the internet and see the image that I found and get rid of that. Okay, so the image that I found was just this one, and I think it's adorable. I can't remember if I typed in Minnie with shamrock, but over here you'll notice there's Minnie doing some hip hop dancing. So maybe if you go to images and look for that, you'll find it. So I'm going to right click on this and go to Save Image As. And I always save everything in my downloads folder, and I'd rename this so it'd be easier for me to find. So I'll just name it Minnie with Shamrock. Minnie with Shamrock, and say save. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and open up the free program Inkscape. Go to File, and then Import. And I'm going to look for that Minnie with Shamrock in my Downloads folder. There she is, Minnie with Shamrock. Open that. Say Open. And I'm just going to leave this box as it is and say OK. Okay, here she is. And now the next thing that we're going to do is we just want the black outline of her. So we're going to come up here to Path, Trace Bitmap. Click on that. And then this is going to come up. Now when this box comes up, yours may not be checked and show up over here like mine is, but it will shortly, because you're going to come down here and click on the word Colors to turn it on. If Smooth is checked, you're going to uncheck it, and you're going to check Stack Scans, and you're going to check Remove Background, and you're going to check Live Preview. So I'm looking at her right now, and I think I want another scan or two. I want to be able to see her little tongue. So there's 9, 10. I think I'll go to 10 scans and say OK. And you won't think anything has happened, but it has. So I'm going to X this out. And I need to click off of Minnie first, and then I can click back on her and move this one over. Way you'll know which one you want, if you're not sure, is to come up here to the second arrow down, the one that says Edit Paths by Nodes. Okay, if I click on the Minnie on the right hand side, it just puts a box around her of marching ants. However, if I come up here to this selection arrow and click on it, she's still selected. I need to click off of her to deselect her. Then I'm going to come back to that same tool, the Edit Path by Nodes, click on it, and click on this mini and see what happens. Wow, see all those little boxes? Those are called nodes. That's the one we want. So again, I can come up here to this arrow. She's still selected, but I don't want her. I want to come over here and click on this one and hit delete on my keyboard. So this is the mini we want. However, she doesn't look like a black and white image that we can color right now. We need to do this. We need to come up to Object and ungroup. And once we've done that, we can click off of her. Click. See, now nothing's happening yet. What I need to do is click off of her and then click back on. And then I can start dragging away layers. So I don't want this layer. I don't need it. I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. I might want that layer, but I'm thinking not, because look at all those spaces where the lines are not complete. That's not very good. I'm going to hold on to that one just in case. I don't want this green one because you can't even tell where her shoes start and end, so delete. Let's check out the next one. Okay, that one looks better than this black one. I'll put that over here. Let's see who's next. That one looks pretty good too. Put that over there because I'm going to compare them. This one's not good because of the gray colors in her shoes and her legs. Same with this green one. Delete. Delete. Now this one's not really useful for what the black line, but I'm going to save this to help us color in her face. So now we have these three that we want to look at to see which one we think is the best. Okay, right off the bat, I can tell this one is crummy. You can see those little white areas between the black line. We want solid black lines, so I'm going to delete. And let me bring this one over. So let's see, which of these two looks better? It's a hard decision to make. Okay, based on, I'll show you what. Based on the line right here on her mouth, if you look at it on this one, do you see how much fuller this one is and richer like? Where this one's a little bit scraggly. And oh, look at here. There's some openings in the eyeballs right there and in the eyelashes and not over here. I'm going to click on this one and delete it. This one is the winner. And I'm going to go use the minus on my keyboard to bring it out. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down here to black and make it black. There we go. All right. Now I think, what I'll do first is I'm going to go click on her and come up to Edit and Duplicate. So now I have two of Minnie. This one's going to be the back piece onto which we're going to build the colored cardstock. So I want to make her one solid piece, all solid black. So to do that, I come up to Path, Break Apart, and that breaks her into a lot of little pieces. And then I don't want a lot of little pieces, so I'm going to come back up to Path and Union. And that makes it one solid piece. So that'll be all cut out of black cardstock, and we'll build Minnie on top of that. Okay, now we're ready to start painting Minnie, but before I do, I see some stuff down here in her shoe that I want to get rid of first. So I'm going to click and click off to make sure nothing's selected. Pick black the paint bucket. And then I see that there are some dots, and I'm scrolling in with the plus sign on my keyboard that I really don't need to have cutting out. I'm going to get rid of that one. Now, if by any chance, when you click off, if you see a white line around this, like I might see a really dim one, so I might want to undo that. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to change the threshold right here to 50. And so yours should say visible colors, threshold 50, and grow shrink by 0.40 millimeters. Now, if you can't see this line right here, all you have to do is come up here to View, Show Hide, and you want to make sure that Tools control bar. You see, if I click it, it's gone. If I go to View, Show Hide, Tools control bar, it shows back up. So again, you want yours to be 50 for threshold, grow shrink by 0.40 millimeters, close gap small. So I'm going to click on this one, come down here and click on the rest of these just to get rid of these, because I really don't want all these little tiny pieces to cut out. They're just not necessary. If you're having a hard time getting them like I just did there, use the plus key on your keyboard and scroll in a little bit more and click again. And there you go. Okay, I think she looks good, so I'm going to scroll out with the minus key on my keyboard, and I think I'll start with her face. So I have to hit this arrow up here, remember. Now something's probably selected down here, so I need to click off. Then I'm going to come down here and use this eyedropper tool. Click on the eyedropper, and then I'm going to click on the face, because that'll grab that color for me to be used. And then I'm going to come over to Minnie's face and scroll in again, so I can make sure I'm getting everything when I'm done. Get the paint bucket and click. All right, now this time it turned out really well. You must make sure that you get this under part of her chin right here, okay? Because she'll look goofy if you don't have it. So if you haven't gotten that, try again. All right, so now all I need to do now is scroll back out so I can see. And I'm going to get the arrow key. And I'm actually going to take her face and put it on the solid black Minnie that we made first. Okay, so here's the Minnie we made first, and we'll bring her right over here. Okay, so now the next thing I think I'll do is I'll get her eyeballs. I need to click here and click off, and then I'm going to come down here to white, get the paint bucket, and get an eyeball and another eyeball. I need to come up here to the arrow. I have one eyeball selected, as you can see. Hold down my shift key, grab the other one, and then I'm going to come up here to Path, Union. We'll keep them together. Then I can move them over here onto the image that we already have and adjust them if I'd like with my arrow keys. Again, that's not necessary because we'll do that with the vinyl or the cardstock. Okay, I'm going to click off. And now I'm going to do, I think I'll do her hands next. I'll do all the white. So I think I'll do the hands individually. So again, I'm going to get the white paint bucket, get this, and hold this, that. Okay, I think I have everything. I'm going to hold down my shift key, get the arrow, hold down my shift key, and see if I can grab all of these things. And if I bring them over, do I have everything? I believe I do. So while they're all selected, I'll say Path, Union, And it draws a box around all of it like that. Okay, now I'm going to get the other hand. So I'm going to get the paint bucket and I'm going to click on there. And then we'll come up here, get the arrow key. That is selected. Hold down the shift key, select the other. Let's bring it over here and see how it's going to look. Great. So I'll now go path and union. All right. Now let's click off. Okay, the arrow's still selected. We'll click off. Let's do her hair bow. So let's just say, I guess I'll make it green again. So I'm going to come down here and get a green. And I'm going to come to the paint bucket and click this. Well, I didn't quite get green, so I can change that. There we go, that's fine. And this, and this. Okay. And that looks good. So I'm going to get the arrow. This is selected. I'm going to hold down my shift key, select this, and say union, path, union. Notice how that kind of brings them all together so they stay as one piece. Like that. And I can move it. Alright, let's see what else. I need to do the shamrock. Let's see, should I do that the same? Yeah, I'll do the shamrock the same color. Wait, on the sample I did the bow a really bright green. I'm going to change that. There we go. And I also made her dress the same color, so I might as well come down and do her dress. I'm going to grab the paint bucket again. So I'm going to do her dress. So I'm going to do that sleeve, and that, and this part, this, and to get her little cuff here. Alright, so now I'm going to come up here to the arrow key. The cuff is selected. Hold down my shift key, get this sleeve, get that, get her skirt in all areas. And I'm going to drag it over here first. See, I missed something. I'm going to put it back so I can say undo. And I need to hold down my shift key and make sure that I get this sleeve there. Now I'm going to drag it over. Does it look like I have all the green? Sure enough. Drag it here. And then I'm going to come up to path and union. And again, I can move it how I need it to be. Cute. All right. So what else do we have to do? We have to do the shamrock and her shoes. So I need to click off of that. I'm going to get this darker green, come down to the paint bucket, and I'm going to make the shamrock the darker green, and this little tiny bit of the shamrock. And oh, do you see what happened? I accidentally hit the line and it changed all of the lines to green. I need to undo. And scroll in with my plus sign so I can see better. So I don't hit the line, but instead hit the inner part of the stem. The inner part of the stem. Okay, now I can come up to the arrow key and I'm going to hold down my shift key and get all of that green that I just made. I'll scroll out so I can see more clearly, and I'm going to drag this over to make sure I get all the green I want, and I have. Put it in place or not, and then go to path and union. So now it's one group basically. And I also wanted to do her shoes the same color, so I'm going to come down and do them now. Come to the paint bucket, but this is still selected, so I need to unselect that. And then I can come to the paint bucket and paint her shoes. And come to the arrow key again, hold down the shift key, select. And of course I can be making her clothes any color I'd like. You don't have to make them green. It's just, I'm just following my same sample and move these over here. Now what do I need to do? I need to go to path and union. Okay, I think I'm done with everything except I don't like this big blob of black that's in here. And if you'll notice, if you look down here on my sample, I cut that big blob of black out. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to come here. Here's where the big blob of black would be. And I'm just going to grab a color right here, this fuchsia, and I'm going to come to the paint bucket. And I'm going to paint that part fuchsia. And I'm just painting it that color so it's easy to see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the arrow key, click on the fuchsia piece and bring it over here where it goes. Like that. Now this one I want to get pretty well precisely placed. Now I'm going to click on the fuchsia, hold down my shift key, click on Minnie, sorry. And then I'm going to come up here to Path and Difference. So did you see that? Let me do it again. I clicked on the fuchsia and I held down my shift key and clicked on Minnie. And then I came up here to Path, Difference. So you might want to write some of this stuff down or just save this video so you can find it when you need to. You just need to practice with this stuff. And sometimes, honestly, I have to go through several of these buttons to figure out, okay, which one was it again? But it is Path and Difference, and click on that, and it's gone. Perfect, just like that. All right, so there's Minnie. I think she looks fabulous. Almost forgot her little tongue. So I'm going to click off of that so nothing is selected. I'm going to grab a red and the paint bucket and get her tongue. Boop. It's a little teeny tiny piece. I'm going to grab the arrow key and just drag it over here. There's nothing to union it to because it's the only thing there is. Isn't she cute? I love her. All right, so now all we need to do is remember this girl over here that I had saved for the coloring of her face. I highlighted her and I'm just going to delete her on the keyboard. The first thing I want to do is I want to group her. So I'm going to go to Object and Group. There we go. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I want to see how big she is. So right now it's in millimeters. I can change that to inches. And I can see actually she's pretty small, just 6 by 4. So that's a perfect size for me to be able to bring in. And actually just one is 3 something by 3 something. So that works out perfectly. I'll bring her in like that and then I can resize her in Cricut Design Space. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to name her as Minnie Shamrock. And since I've already done this, I'll do Minnie Shamrock 2. Now here's the thing that you must remember. If you don't do this, you'll be so sad because it will not work in Cricut Design Space. You have to change it. You don't want to save it as type Inkscape SVG. Inkscape, no. You want to save it as just a plain SVG. It's the one right under Inkscape. Plain SVG. So before you hit save, make sure this says plain SVG or it won't work. Save. And now I'm come over to Cricut Design Space and I'll go to Upload, Upload an image, Browse, and I'm going to look for Minnie Shamrock 2. And she's going to look like one of these icons here because I have a different program. Yours probably won't look like that, but it should be named the way you said, and it should say Type SVG. So I'm going to click on that and say Open. And there she is. So I can put some things over here like Minnie Mouse SVG. SVG. Well, I don't know. Put some tags over there and then say save. So this is the one I'm going to highlight her and say insert image. And notice she's coming in over here as a cut file, and that's exactly what we want. And she's coming in with two of them together. Now we don't really need this one right now, so I'm going to come up here to ungroup. Okay, this one right here, I'm just, let me move this gal over and let me grab all of her, and then I'm going to hide her. So now I'm going to hide that. Okay, so now what we're left with is this Minnie, and she's grouped. Let's see what happens if we go to make it. So things aren't going to be exactly where we need them on the cardstock, but that's okay because it's not vinyl, so they don't need to be. The things that were grouped together still are, so the hat parts are grouped together and the skirt parts are all grouped together. So that's nice to have it like this because we can make her much larger than the mat if we want to. Now, let's ungroup her. And let me show you what we could do if we wanted to when we were making her out of vinyl. We could click on her hat, hold down her shift key, click on her dress, and then say weld. And so then when we go to make it, those parts would stay exactly where we needed them to if we were doing vinyl. Cancel. And again, if we were doing vinyl and we wanted all the white pieces to stay exactly where they were on the mat, on the vinyl, if we were doing vinyl, like I said, we would click on her eyes, hold down the shift key, get her hand, get her hand, get her other hand, and her eyes. Okay, sometimes it's easier to grab these things over here in the layers panel. So I'm making sure that I have her eyes. Yes, there they are, selected. So then what I could do right now is I could go to weld. Oh, I had her hat too. Uh-oh, undo. And her dress. All I want to have is her hand and her other hand, hold down the shift key, do it here on the layers panel, and her eyes. And now if I go to weld, that's all I have are those things, and that's what I want. And so if I went to make it over here, and I was doing this out of vinyl, they'd be in exactly the spot I needed them to be. Let's cancel. All right, but I'm going to undo all that welding. And I'm going to go to ungroup. Okay, her hat should be separate. Yes, okay, her bow. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how you could make her larger than one mat if you wanted to. So right now, let's see how big she is. She's only 3 inches by 3 inches. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can make her larger than what your mat is. Now remember, I don't have the large 12 by 24 inch mat, so I'm going to have to do some cutting. Let's imagine I want her to be 28 inches tall. That is a big Minnie. Big Minnie. So I changed the height to 28 inches and I hit enter. And that automatically changed the width. So now I know I can't make her like this. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to ungroup her. So I'm going to ungroup this. And I'm going to pull these pieces apart and see. Now that will fit on the mat. And that will not. So I really don't want to have to cut those pieces up. So let me undo this. And instead of making her 28 inches, let's make her 25 inches and see if that will work. Okay, I know I'm going to have to take this piece and break it apart because it won't fit on my mat, on my 12-inch mat. And this will fit on my 12-inch mat. I believe everything else will. So the only thing I have to do then is I need to cut this in pieces. So to do that, I come over to the shape tool and get a square. And I'm going to make this square 11 inches by 11 inches, and that way I know it will fit on my 12-inch mat. So I'm going to have to cut this up. So how many pieces? I don't know. I'm looking for the best place to slice. And after I do it once, I'll probably figure out a better place to slice it. So I think I'll just start right here and just slice. So I'll grab those two, slice. So get rid of that, get rid of that, and there's one slice. The next thing I have to do is, okay, now I'm going to get another shape, and I actually should duplicate these before I use them so I don't have to keep doing this. So I'm going to make it 11 by 11 also. And I'm going to duplicate it a couple of times because I know I'll need a couple more. Okay, bring this one over here. So I don't want to leave just a little tiny bit up at the top there. So I'm going to do it like that. And I can actually send this to the back so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. And maybe I want it to come right into this fold area right there. Oops. Okay, that looks good. So I'll just grab those two things and slice. So we don't want this or this. We do want this. This goes right there. Okay, and then let's see how many more. 1, 2. Unfortunately, I'll have to do 3. So maybe I'll do one right here. And you can, of course, twirl this around. Okay, I'll do that right there. Slice. So I want that. I do not want that. And I do not want that. I'll bring that over. That fits there, I think. And then I'll just slice these. Slice. And I want that. Don't want that. Don't want that. All right, so there she is. And we could put these things back on if we wanted to. So actually, probably what I should do is just group this to keep it together for right now. That just groups it here on this mat that I'm working on. And I could go send to back. And then you'll see how this will work. I'll just bring this over here. Interface. Assuming I did this correctly, when I say make it, it should be all just perfect. So let's go to make it, and it shouldn't say anything's too big for the mat. Everything should fit on the mat. Perfect. All right, I'm going to make this. I'm going to cut it all out and get it off my mats, and I'll be back. Okay, you guys, you're going to love how big Minnie turns out. Here's little Minnie, and just to give you an idea of how big she's going to be, here's little Minnie's shamrock, and here's big Minnie's shamrock. Oh boy. Okay, this is going to be fun to put together. So, the first thing I'm going to have to do is try to put these black pieces together. Now, I need to be able to look back up at my screen. And I also need to grab some tape because I'll be taping these on the back side. So let me move these pieces out of the way so you can see what I'm doing up here so I know what I'm doing. I'm moving all these little pieces out of the way so that I can kind of see where I cut her and what goes where. So I grouped her together. I'm going to ungroup it. And now let's see, this is the top right. So I'm going to look down at my pieces on my desk. And here I can see that this piece is the top right piece. So I'll put it here. Let's move my computer back a little further. I don't know if she's going to fit on here. All right, then the next piece, I can tell these are her shoes. And, oh, this is her hand. So, oh gosh, I'm not going to have enough room on my desk. That goes there, I guess. Yeah. And this goes here. And I use this Cricut paper, which I love. I love it because there's not a white core. If you know what that means, when you look at the edge, you don't see the whiteness. And I like the texture. One side is textured and one side is not. So I can always make sure I'm putting the correct side up if I use the texture side up on it. So this piece goes here. And where does this piece? I gotta move my, yikes. Guys, I don't think I can fit on my desk. Let's see, this goes here. That goes like that. This has to go in here like this. All right, once I get her taped together, I can move it up and down on my desk so I can make her fit. She is one big mini. First thing I'm going to do is take this lousy tape, try to tear it off, and I'm going to put a piece, fold this up a little bit, put a piece under here, and let it sticking out the bottom, and then I'll line this piece up right there, like that. Okay, then I'll do the same thing on the piece to the right, just temporarily taping it. So I'm going to put a little piece on here, and let's see if I get these all lined up. Little piece there, that should be right. And then, so this is what you have to do when you make them larger, but in general, everything you put on top of this will cover a lot of these little seams. Maybe not every single one of them, but a lot of them. And it'll still look really cute. So there's that. Take another piece. And I think I'll put it under here. And then stick this right under. Yikes. I sure can. Gotta get it lined up perfectly. Like that. Okay. Now what I could have done was to cut out another one of these to put on the back, where I would mirror it and tape it the opposite way, so then none of this tape like this mess would show, if you know what I mean. Do the same thing again, tape it on this side, and then put the two tape parts together so you wouldn't see this. But I'm just making a sample here. Just put it up on my wall, I guess, to look at. Now I would just go through here and tape these seams up a little bit better so they hold well. But like I say, if you wanted her to be freestanding and you didn't want all these tapes to show, you could mirror it and do the same thing on the back. You could even make her clothes again or her body again. I mean, you know, do the whole thing. Double it. And then she'd be two-sided. And of course, if you made her double, you could put some sticks in between or some popsicle sticks to give her just a bit more stability. And I do have a video on that. If you look back in time, you'll see that. Now I need to move that back. All right, so let's start with some of this stuff here. Maybe the first thing I'll start with is her hand that goes down here. It's going to be cute as can be. So I'm going to get that glue that I said that I use. Maybe I should scroll out just a little bit if I can. Oopsie. I don't like you to see all the junk on my table. All right, let's see. There's her hand. So I'm just using this glue and I just kind of squeeze it out and I mush it around so that, and this little thing's in my way. I kind of mush it around so it's not real thick anywhere. So I'm not making much come out at all, but I do want to get all the edges and the tips. There we go. All right, I think that's good. Just lay my bottle flat so it doesn't all drain back down, and I'll put this on, and I'm remembering that there always is a black outline around it, so I'll just put that there like that. Okay, the next part, and again I'm making sure that the textured side is up. Whoops, I got a little too much on there, so I'm just going to smear it around with the tip like that. Smear it. here like that. All right, now what should I do next? Maybe I should just lay these things out first. And then this piece must go down here like this, kind of. And then this is this cuff that goes over here. This is the little cuff. Goes up there. Okay, let's see. Here is part of her bow. And the other part of her bow. That's not right. This goes here. And then this one goes over here. And then this goes in the center. Something like that. And her little face will go here. Kind of like that. And her eyes go in here. I'm not sure which one goes where. Oh, I think they went like this, which is odd to me. I guess the bigger one goes in the bigger little hole. Makes sense. Like that. And here's her little lips. Her little mouth goes in there. And, whoops, almost lost part. Here's her hand. Now, how does this go? I was never good at puzzles when I was a kid. I'm still no good at puzzles. So luckily I know which side goes up because of the texture. Okay, what in the world? How does this go? This goes like this because it's going to go under the, I guess like that? Yeah. Because it's going to go under the shamrock. Okay. This piece, I'm totally clueless. What is this? Oh, I see. It goes over here because part of the shamrock will go over that. So I'm looking at my prototype and that's helping me a bit. So the shamrock, now this was a pain to figure out the first time around. Oh, this goes here. Let's see, the shamrock. I had trouble with this, a lot of trouble. You should have seen how long it took me to figure out how this went. I don't know. Let's see. Like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then I have the stems to put on here. So one of the stems goes there. And the other little stem goes up here for the shamrock. And her shoes, the bigger part of the shoe goes here. Oh, and whoopsie. And the get up there, Minnie. And the smaller part of the shoe goes here. Okay. Like something's missing, but let me see. No, I guess that's it. All right, I'm going to continue gluing these, and you can watch for a few minutes if you'd like. I'll fast forward through it. Okay, here's Minnie I think she's pretty much done. The only thing I noticed I didn't have was this piece right here, but I think she looks fine without it. I think that was that piece that I blackened in, and I didn't like the way it looked. So I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. She's huge, as you can see. She's very big. So I can measure her from one end to the other, and she is from the tip of her toes, see, to her head, she's about 25 inches tall. So I think she turned out really cute. I think I'll just back out just a little bit more. Whoops, you'll see more junk on my desk. But that's probably all I can back out. But anyway, there she is. I think she's adorable. So if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share this, and have fun making your own huge wall decorations for grandbabies, kids, yourself, whomever. Again, thank you. Bye-bye.